For more than 1,000 years, one city stood at the very center of the known world, a bridge between Europe and Asia, and a fortress of faith, trade, and empire. That city was Constantinople. It was built by the Roman Emperor Constantine, and over time it became the heart of the Eastern Roman Empire, the empire we now call Byzantium. Its massive walls were legendary, its wealth was immense, and its churches shone with gold, marble, and sacred mosaics. For centuries, armies came to conquer it, and for centuries they all failed. But by the 15th century, the world had changed. The Byzantine Empire was no longer a great power. Its lands had been lost, its armies had grown small, and its treasury was nearly empty. And on its borders, a new empire was rising. That empire was the Ottomans. At its head stood a young sultan, Mehmed II. He was only 21 years old, but he carried an ambition that terrified his enemies. He dreamed of one thing above all others: to conquer Constantinople. For Mehmed, the city was more than a military target. It was a symbol, a prize that would make him immortal. So he prepared carefully. He gathered an army unlike anything the region had ever seen. More than 80,000 soldiers, thousands of cavalry, elite Janissary warriors, and a powerful fleet of ships to blockade the city by sea. But his greatest weapon was something entirely new. A massive cannon designed by a Hungarian engineer, so enormous that it took dozens of oxen to move, and so powerful that it could hurl stone balls heavier than a man. For the first time in history, Constantinople's famous walls had a true enemy. Inside the city, the situation was desperate. The last Byzantine emperor, Constantine XI, understood the danger. He sent urgent messages across Europe, begging for help. But little help came. Venice and Genoa sent a few ships and a few hundred men. The Pope promised support, but it was too late. When the Ottoman army arrived in the spring of 1453, Constantinople had fewer than 7,000 defenders. 7,000 men against an empire. On April 6th, the siege began. Ottoman cannons roared day and night, and stone walls that had stood for a millennium slowly began to crack. Ancient towers collapsed into rubble, yet the defenders fought with incredible courage. Genoese sailors, Venetian volunteers, and Byzantine soldiers stood side by side. They repaired the walls at night and repelled assault after assault. For weeks, the city refused to die, but the Ottomans had patience. Mehmed ordered his fleet dragged overland around the city's great harbor chain and launched directly into the Golden Horn itself. Suddenly, Constantinople was surrounded from every side. The defenders were exhausted, outnumbered, and outgunned, and still they held on. Then came the final day. In the early hours of May 29th, 1453, the great assault began. Wave after wave of Ottoman soldiers rushed the walls. Drums thundered, cannons shook the earth, and arrows filled the sky. The defenders fought like men who knew they were facing the end of the world. At dawn, the elite Janissaries attacked. This time, the line broke. Somewhere in the chaos, Emperor Constantine himself joined the fighting. He removed his royal insignia and fought as a simple soldier, and then he vanished into history. By midday, it was over. After more than 1,000 years, the unbreakable city had fallen. Ottoman banners rose above the ancient walls. The great cathedral of Hagia Sophia was transformed, and Constantinople became Istanbul. The Byzantine Empire, the last remnant of Rome, disappeared forever. The shock was felt across the entire world. In Europe, Kings and popes trembled. In Venice and Genoa, merchants feared for their future. And in the Islamic world, Mehmed was hailed as the conqueror. The Middle Ages were ending. A new age was beginning. The fall of Constantinople changed everything. It pushed European powers to search for new routes to the east. It helped spark the age of exploration. And it shifted the balance of power between religions and empires. One city fell, and a new world was born. Today, the ancient walls still stand. Hagia Sophia still rises over the skyline, and the echoes of 1453 remain carved into the stones of Istanbul. The fall of Constantinople was not just the end of an empire, it was the turning point of history.